Hello there, this is Jeremy Hamilton with 5280 Angler. Today I'm actually going to be tying a streamer, little white streamer. I started tying actually for wipers to imitate shad. Around here it's tough to find flies that imitate shad, so I came up with one on my own. And as it turns out, it actually works well for lots of other fish. It's just a good white streamer. It's got a lot of moving parts in it and a little bit of flash. So here we go. So starting off with a Gamakatsu B10S size 4, and we're going to put some thread on there. And this fly is meant to ride hook point up. So I'm going to put a lead eyes on there just to get it to flip over, give it a little bit of weight. So we're gonna just take a white dumbbell eye, white pupil or just white with the black pupil. Anyway, so build a little thread bump. That way you have something to kind of butt your eye dumbbells up against. Do some X wraps. I start one way, then I kind of pull it and do the other way. You know, give 8 or 9, 10 wraps, something like that. Go back the other way. Do some wraps underneath, kind of get that seated in there. Straighten it out. And I like to hit it with a little bit of super glue. I always see people putting super glue on the top, and I'm not really sure what that would do because all it's doing is putting super glue right on these wraps up here, where that's not really going to bind it to the hook. So I like to flip it upside down. Put just a little drop under there. There we go. And that will hold those eyes in place, keep them from spinning around the hook. So, and then I just kind of like to lock it in, a few wraps, and we're good to go with those eyes. So then we're going to come back just to where the bend starts. And we're going to take some extra select marabou. What I like about the extra select marabou is that it has long plumes on it. So what we can do if you tie it in with the stem, it's going to be really stiff and it's not going to get the same kind of movement. So what I do is I grab a pinch of the plumes, kind of gather them up in your fingers there, peel them off. You can kind of come down, peel them off there, and then it's going to get you those long, wispy plumes. That way, when you tie it in and it's moving, you're going to get lots of movement out of that. So I like to do about 2 shank lengths on the tail. We're gonna wind up with about a 2-inch fly here, 2 to 2.5-inch fly. So we're going to do 1, 2, and we're going to bind that down. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit long, but that's okay. Bind it down, clip that off, pull out any loose strands. And what you can kind of do, you can see that that's not totally even. You can just kind of pinch them, pull them off. Now you got a nice even tail on there. So the next material I'm going to use is Palmer chenille. Palmer chenille is going to give it some flash. It's going to give it some gray tones. It's just a cool little material to use. And the nice thing is it lays back. So we're going to just kind of make a nice flashy body instead of using hackle or anything like that. This is a really durable fly. I can catch a lot of fish on it without it binding up at all. Or without it falling apart, sorry. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it forward, just kind of pull everything back, get it to lay down. See how that lays back? Just kind of help it a little bit, stroke it back with your fingers, and just move that forward. Or Palmer. There we go. Get it up to the front there, right behind the eyes. Just going to bind that down, couple wraps behind, couple wraps in front. clip it off if I can get it. And then just kind of pull everything back. Those last couple wraps, it kind of started moving forward on itself. So let's get those pulled back like that. Bind them down. Clip off a little strays there. Then flip it upside down. And we're actually going to take our marabou plume one more time and pull off another section of those. And we're going to tie this on kind of as a wing, but just kind of give it a little bit more movement. Pull out some of that extra little stuff there. And I measure it about halfway back on the tail. Then we're going to bind that down. Clip off the excess. And if you catch a couple, that's all right. Nothing too fancy here. Then go ahead and advance your thread forward in front of the eyes. Next, what we're going to do is the head. So we're going to do Senyo's laser dub on, we're going to do white for the bottom, and then we're going to do a silver minnow belly for the top. So pull out a chunk of that dubbing, kind of pull it to get the fibers aligned. Just kind of pull it between your fingers, keep it tight, roll it, pull it, and it's going to align all those fibers. So that way when you tie it in, it's not all going to pull apart. So we're going to go ahead and tie that on the top of the hook, but what winds up being the bottom of the fly. This is going to be the belly. About halfway on the dubbing. Give a loose wrap just to gather it in. Another wrap, kind of pull everything straight, and then tighten it down. Okay, and we're going to stay in the middle of that clump of dubbing. Then we're going to do the silver minnow belly for the top. Go ahead and pull out a clump and align all those dubbing fibers. Get it nice and long. This one's got some chunks in it, so it's a little harder to get aligned. There we go. And you want it kind of sparse. You don't want to do too thick. If you go too thick, then it's going to prevent the fly from sinking. It's going to give it more buoyancy. Now, if you want a fly that rides a little higher in the water column, that's perfectly fine to go ahead and make that a little bit thicker. But I like to let it get down. So what I'm doing is basically, you know, if you twist that, it's about the thickness of my bodkin needle, approximately. So we're going to do the same thing in the middle of the bunch, bind it down, line everything up. Then we're going to advance that thread in front of everything, pull it all back, just like that. Oop. Keep from wrapping around your dumbbells. Pull it all back and build a little thread head. And what that's going to do, build it up right up against that laser dub. And that's going to keep it folded back. Go ahead and whip finish. Then what we'll do, just kind of stroke everything back with the brush. Pull out any of those loose fibers from that dubbing. And there you have it. A simple bait fish fly. Looks good, like I said, for a shad. or just any white fish. It's got a little bit of flash in it, flash in the head, some movement in the marabou, movement in the Palmer chenille, and that's it. And a nice sticky hook. I like that B10S. It's really sharp, and you always wind up poking yourself with it when you tie it too. So be careful with that.